Finally! It's a big FromSoft game. Nowadays, I think it's fair to say that FromSoft games are pretty formulaic, and I mean that in mostly the best way possible. Interesting locations, including at least one poison swamp, story that isn't made perfectly clear until the 30-minute lore videos come out, a bunch of different builds that all get stomped into the ground, mostly. It's a FromSoft game. Even Sekiro, the game that arguably shifted the most away from that formula, still had enough similar to be at least considered a Souls-like. But the gameplay trailer made it perfectly clear, this was back to old reliable, but bigger. The thing about old reliable, however, is that it's been done to varying degrees of success. It's hard to say whether there is a legitimately bad FromSoft game. I think all of them have at least some value to them, but at least two of them required a lot of patience to find that value, with a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and broken controllers paving the way to it. While I do admire these games for having a lot of really cool and creative stuff in it, massive chunks of these games are just the absolute worst to get through. So much so that one of them has a collective 4 hours of reviews saying it's not so bad as its first results. So, you know, that's something. The first Dark Souls, despite some clunky controls, actually nailed it for most of the game. Then you make it past Honor Londo and are subjected to varying degrees of hell before the final boss hits you with that and makes everything better. Also, the DLC has some great bosses. Dark Souls 3 kinda has some lame areas that put me off from the game, not gonna lie, though the bosses are pretty cool. And then there's the best one, not even close, don't even lie. Bloodborne is this media done at its best. The tight design of the levels, world, lore, the badass trick weapons have never been topped for me. This is FromSoft at the top of their game, and not only the best game they've ever made, but one of the best games of all time. Give us two, you cowards. But now we have Elden Ring, the first true open world FromSoft game, not just connected world with clear level layout. So besides the obvious question of is this game's combat and boss quality on the higher end of variety, balance, and design, which yeah it is, except for magic, but what else is new here? We have other questions like, does this game take advantage of the new bigger areas available to it? Is there enough hidden stuff throughout the expansive map to make exploration interesting? Is the variety of the areas enough to keep the game from going stale? And most importantly, does the open world formula work with the FromSoft formula? Yep, and mostly yep, if you're a Souls fan. When I make videos like these that are made to judge, I do so specifically looking for negatives, since more often than not, people are willing to forgive bad things in average games and give scores of like 8 or 9s. This is true in all media because everyone suffers from recency bias. The issue is when it comes to FromSoft games, fans kinda have their own rules for quality. I have never heard fans complain about graphics or interactable environments or not being able to swim or quest marks, none of that. But I have heard countless complaints about run back to bosses and too much dog. Let me make my case clear. If you're a Souls fan, you are more than likely going to enjoy this game, because this game is a giant pot of stew with all the other FromSoft games mixed in. The combat is a more complete Dark Souls 3 combat with extras. The world has smaller, less frustrating Bloodborne challenge dungeons sprinkled everywhere. The layout of the main areas feel as though you're traveling through some fortress from the main Souls series, while the bosses and mini-bosses have references to games across the entire series, with as much variety as Dark Souls 2, but not as mixed in quality. Long story short, if you're a FromSoft fan, this game is for you. If you aren't a FromSoft fan, however, and are looking to get into this game either to dip your toes into FromSoft games or because you like open world games, this probably isn't a game for you, because hot take, Elden Ring is a fantastic FromSoft game, but an okay open world game at best. While it's definitely not the worst open world game since there's plenty to do and find, it lacks the magic of being able to mess around with and interact with the open world itself, and that's a big part of these games. This is something that doesn't matter to FromSoft fans because we weren't looking for a big open world game, we were looking for a fantastic FromSoft game. And with the exception of 1 or 2 issues, which most people wouldn't even see as big issues, this game does exactly that. It gives us a great FromSoft game. One that's made better if you've actually played some FromSoft games in the past and know what to expect. This is not a beginner FromSoft game. I'd say go for Dark Souls 3 first if you want that. Regardless, it's still a great game. Now if you don't mind, I gotta squeeze as much fun out of these 2 games as possible before the true Game of the Year comes out. It's gonna be a masterpiece.